You're watching Forsaken Joe. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Enjoy the story. Let's begin.
Kayla dropped the punchline like a damn firecracker. "Rob's been so busy lately," she said, holding her wine glass up like a mic. "You know, catching up on all the important daytime TV. I think he's learning the deep philosophical meaning of The Price is Right." Laughter broke across the patio like thunder. Claire nearly choked on her cocktail. Tanya slapped her husband's arm and said, "See? At least you get dressed before noon." I sat there with my burger going cold in my lap, fake smile plastered on like duct tape. "My name's Rob. I'm 42, live in Raleigh, North Carolina, and apparently tonight's stand-up comedy prop. Before we start, how's your day going and where are you joining from?" Kayla was holding court like a damn talk show host. Her friends, real estate agents, loan officers, small business princesses, sat around the patio set like it was some Sunday brunch on Bravo. Not one of them knew the truth. Claire piped up, grinning like she just scored a promotion. "If my husband sat at home like that, I'd have changed the locks. No offense, Rob, but I need a partner, not a project." "No offense taken," I said, nodding like a bobblehead. "I'm just soaking in all the wisdom." They all laughed again, like I was a puppy who just rolled over. Kayla leaned in, smirking. "Rob's redefining the art of leisure. I told him he should start a blog, How to Nap Without Guilt." I gripped my beer tighter but kept the grin. Inside, I was ice cold. They didn't know. None of them did. They didn't know that while they were swapping vacation stories paid for by commission checks, I was the one funding the buildings those commissions came from. The mortgage office Claire ran, my holding company owned the land it sat on. Tanya's husband, Mr. Big Shot in insurance, his boss answered to my CFO. I wasn't broke. I wasn't aimless. I was patient. Let Kayla enjoy her little roast. Let Claire and Tanya and the rest of the circle laugh at the sad house husband playing unemployed loser. I'd let them run their mouths for one more night, because tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock sharp, I was walking into the boardroom with every receipt, every signature, every surveillance tape locked and loaded. Tonight they mocked me. Tomorrow they'd remember who built their empire, and who just set the match. Kayla wasn't done. She took another sip of wine and turned toward the group like she had a fresh bit to land. "Oh, and tell them about that janitor job, babe," she said, grinning like it was a party trick. "You guys? Rob got so excited over a job posting for a maintenance guy at the Groveview office park. He was like, 'Babe, look, health insurance.'" The whole table burst out laughing. Claire leaned forward, gasping between cackles. "Oh my God, stop. That's where my office is." I stared at her for a second. Claire, queen of the fake mortgage empire, had no clue she worked inside one of my buildings. The Groveview lease? Signed under one of my LLCs 4 years ago. The janitorial team? My employees. Uniforms, benefits, W-2s, mine. She just mocked her own support staff and never knew it. Kayla wiped a fake tear. He even printed out the job description and highlighted the part about vacuuming shared workspaces. I almost framed it. "That's ambition for you," Tanya said, rolling her eyes. "Better than nothing, I guess." "Barely," Claire added. "I mean, come on. We're grown adults. If my husband had a midlife crisis and went backward, I'd lose it." "Lose it?" Kayla scoffed. "I already have." More laughter. More clinking glasses. I looked around that backyard. Every fake smile, every phony compliment, every ounce of bullshit, and counted the ways my money had built the entire scene. Tanya's white BMW in the driveway? Paid for through an executive bonus her husband got from a firm I owned. Claire's Cartier bracelet? Company gift card from a client dinner booked through my corporate travel desk. Even the house we were sitting behind? Renovated with funds I released through a contractor I quietly funded. I'd built an empire. They were just clowns playing on my stage. Kayla wasn't slowing down. She raised her voice so the whole damn yard could hear. "I told my mom last week, if I wanted to raise a grown child, I'd have had another baby, not married Rob." This time the laugh wasn't polite. It was vicious. Tanya doubled over. Claire smacked the table. Even Kayla's brother, Ethan, let out a loud "damn" and shook his head. I didn't move, didn't blink. She stood there with her glass high like she'd won something. I mean, let's be real. He's a man without direction. No hustle, no spark, just existing. And honestly, she glanced around for dramatic effect. I'm not sure how much longer I can do this. The air shifted. I caught that look Claire gave her. The one women give each other when someone admits a marriage is circling the drain. Tanya's husband nodded once, like he respected the guts it took to say it out loud. My jaw tightened, just enough to feel it click. I didn't say a word. Not yet. Instead, I locked it in. Every laugh, every insult, every smug toast and comment about my potential. Burned it into memory like wet concrete setting behind my eyes. I'd waited years for this moment. Let Kayla peel off every last layer of fake support. Let her friends cheer her on like she just escaped some life of mediocrity. None of them knew they were hanging by threads I'd been weaving since before I met any of them. They thought this was a roast. I knew it was a prelude. As the sun dipped low and someone fired up the speaker for music, I excused myself and slipped inside to the kitchen. I set down my empty beer can on the counter, opened the drawer where we kept the Bluetooth speaker remotes, and tucked mine into my pocket. Tomorrow morning I'd be in a suit, and they'd all be stripped bare. I stood in that kitchen while the music kicked on outside, leaning against the sink with the faucet dripping slow. Behind me, the crowd cheered for another bottle of wine like it was game night. They had no idea. I didn't grow up soft. My dad ran a hardware store in Sanford for 22 years. Put in 6 days a week. Cracked his knuckles raw fixing busted ACs and lawnmower engines. Stocked shelves till midnight. I used to sweep the floor barefoot while he balanced invoices on the counter. He didn't believe in shortcuts. Or pity. Then came the big box store 2 towns over. First month, we lost our weekend crowd. 3 months in, his supplier undercut him on price and dropped him altogether. By year's end, we were boxed up and bankrupt. Dad didn't cry, didn't throw anything. Just handed me the keys one night and said, "Don't ever build something you can't protect." I never forgot it. At 19, I was fixing fences, painting basements, and replacing drywall for landlords who couldn't be bothered. Saved every cent. I watched how rent flowed, how tenants got flipped, how low someone would go to get another $1,000 out of a property. So I started small, real small. One gutted duplex in Clayton. I used an alias on the paperwork and flipped it in 6 months. Used the profit to buy 2 more. Set up an LLC. Then another. I reinvested everything. Didn't tell a soul. Never drove a car newer than 10 years old. Ate off the dollar menu like it was a religion. Over the next 12 years, I built an invisible empire. Strip malls, office parks, half the damn commercial corridor along Capitol Boulevard, quietly mine. I kept it layered, holding firms under holding firms. People saw names on the signs, not the man pulling the strings. Then came Kayla. I met her when I was fixing drywall at her friend's condo. I had on work boots and paint in my hair. She brought me lemonade like I was some stray dog. Said I had kind eyes. We went out for drinks that same week. She liked that I was humble. Said it was refreshing. Called me salt of the earth. I kept my mouth shut about what I really owned. We dated 6 months. She pushed hard for marriage. Said she wanted a partner she could build with. I kept playing the broke handyman. She loved it. We got married at a courthouse on a Tuesday. No prenup talk. Just fast paperwork and a honeymoon in Asheville I paid for in cash. Once the ring was on, the real Kayla came out. She started correcting the way I talked in public. Pressured me to network better. Said she was the breadwinner and I should keep her stress low by handling house stuff. She joked to friends that I was her retirement plan if all else failed. I never pushed back. I never argued. I let her think she ran the show. Why? Because watching her believe the lie told me everything I needed to know. She didn't love me. She loved control. Loved how her status grew around me, thinking I was someone beneath her, safe, dependent, invisible. And her friends? They mirrored her. Claire with her constant name-dropping and fake business lingo. Tanya with her husband who only spoke in golf metaphors. None of them worked harder than me. They just talked louder. So I stayed quiet. Let them think I was losing. Let them think I was lucky to be included. Meanwhile, I was buying the land under Claire's mortgage firm, under Tanya's favorite nail salon, under the damn grocery store they shopped at. Every time they celebrated, they were doing it on my soil. And now they were tipsy on my back patio, tossing jokes around like knives, thinking they'd finally outgrown me. I looked out the window. Kayla was dancing with Claire. Her wineglass was empty, but she was twirling like a prom queen on a victory lap. She'd chosen the game. I'd just spent a decade writing the rules. I flipped the faucet off tight, dried my hands, and went to grab the speaker remote from my pocket. Tomorrow was the end of the show, and I was opening the curtain. I stepped back out onto the patio, speaker remote still tucked in my pocket, and leaned against the railing like I was part of the furniture. Nobody noticed. They were too busy laughing at some story Tanya was telling about a client meltdown. That group right there, Kayla's inner circle, they had no clue they were all sitting on top of my web. Claire liked to say she clawed her way up from assistant to regional manager at her mortgage firm. Truth? Her promotion came after I called the executive board and told them to bump her. I owned the holding company that swallowed their brand during a quiet merger 2 years ago. She got the job because I wanted her busy, visible, easy to monitor. Tanya's husband, Eric, worked at Highland Ridge Insurance. Thought he was a rising star because he hit his sales targets early and showed up in a blazer. I reviewed his numbers 6 months ago. He cooked his travel reimbursements and double-dipped on rental cars. My legal team had the receipts. He didn't know I signed his department head's paycheck. Even Tanya herself wasn't clean. She claimed her marketing agency handled premium clients only, but 2 of her biggest contracts were funneled through shell vendors I created. She was billing me while trash-talking me over brunch. They all thought they earned their lives. Mercedes leases, penthouse apartments, ski trips to Colorado. All of it padded with bonuses and commissions they wouldn't have sniffed if I hadn't allowed it. And Kayla? She bragged about having the strongest circle in Raleigh. Said her friends were killers in the game. She had no clue she was married to the man who built the board. I let it all run year after year. Not because I was weak, because I needed to see who they really were when they thought I was beneath them. Every quarterly report, every lunch meeting, every personnel issue I had access. Internal memos, flagged emails, expense accounts. My compliance officer, Nikki, had been collecting and organizing the dirt for almost 18 months. Claire's team was pushing through loans with forged appraisals and inflated income numbers. Tanya failed to report thousands in ad spend that mysteriously vanished. Eric, he approved fake invoices from vendors that didn't exist. One move and the house of cards would collapse. That move was tomorrow at 9 a.m. They all had check-ins scheduled at my central office. Fake meetings, standard reviews. A few were told they might be getting awards. Claire actually asked if she could bring her assistant for shadowing. I approved it. Why not let someone else witness her downfall? I wasn't just going to fire them. I was going to burn the illusion down to the studs. They built their confidence on lies, propped up by blind arrogance and shallow connections. They stepped on people they thought were below them. I was done letting them stand on my shoulders. Kayla waved at me from across the yard, all bubbly and flushed. "You good, babe? You've been so quiet." "Just soaking it all in," I said, nodding. She turned back to Claire and whispered something that made them both crack up again. I smiled, small and sharp. They wanted to play games. I'd already checkmated the board. I was stacking empty solo cups by the grill when Kayla's voice cut through the yard again. Louder than the music, loud enough to stop a few conversations. She lifted her wineglass and called out, "If I wanted to raise a grown child, I'd have had another baby, not married Rob." Everything froze for half a second. Then the laughter hit harder than anything all night. Claire damn near howled. Tanya covered her mouth like she couldn't believe how funny it was. Even Ethan, Kayla's brother, the one who used to talk business with me over beers, shook his head and laughed. "That's cold," he said, grinning. But true. I didn't flinch. just kept stacking cups. Red, blue, red. That one hit different. I didn't care about the jokes. I'd been letting those roll off me for years. But this was her planting a flag. Telling the whole damn group she saw me as less than a man. Less than useful. Less than anything. I glanced up and watched them sip their drinks and brag about the lives I'd built for them. Claire was going off about her newest commission bonus. Tanya was already talking ski season. Eric was planning a guy's trip. All of them living like their grind got them there. They had no clue. I walked back into the kitchen, sliding the screen door shut behind me. My hands moved on autopilot, collecting plates, tossing trash, wiping down counters, scrub, toss, stack. My mind wasn't in the kitchen. It was in my office scanning the files. Expense reports from Claire's team showing fake client dinners at steakhouses 2 counties over. Surveillance footage of Eric meeting with vendors that don't exist on paper. Tanya's emails rerouting marketing funds to her cousin's account. I had everything. Stamped, signed, time-stamped, and duplicated across 3 encrypted backups. And Kayla? She signed a prenup she never even read. Thought it was a formality because we were starting from nothing. It gave her nothing. She mocked the man who pays the mortgage on her damn Pinterest dream home and funds the shopping sprees she calls therapy. I opened the fridge. Half a key lime pie left. Tin foil barely covering it. I stared at it like it mattered. Didn't. What mattered was tomorrow. 9 sharp. Conference room B. Nikki had the invites sent, the cameras set up, the documents printed and sealed in folders with color-coded tabs. No one walks out clean. Behind me, the screen door opened. Kayla breezed in, flushed and smiling. She didn't even look at me. "Don't forget to take the trash to the curb tonight," she said, grabbing a water bottle and walking right back out. I nodded, didn't say a word, just watched the door swing shut behind her, slow and creaky, like it was taunting me. I turned off the lights, one switch at a time, till the kitchen went dark. Tomorrow wasn't just about them. It was about me, taking back everything they thought they could own. I was up by 5:30. Didn't need an alarm. My body was running on something sharper than sleep. I moved quiet through the house, dressing in the walk-in closet while Kayla snored soft into the pillow. She didn't even stir when the bathroom light clicked on. Dark gray suit, crisp white shirt, black tie, no flash, just clean, direct, and sharp, like today. By 6:15, I was out the door. Didn't bother with breakfast. Just a black coffee in a paper cup and my phone buzzing with texts from Nikki. Nikki, 6:02 a.m. Claire's team's here early. Lobby badges issued. Nikki, 6:08 a.m. Tanya's already in conference room A. Nikki, 6:12 a.m. Eric asked if there's catering. LOL. We got him donuts. I pulled into the garage under our main suite just after 6:30. The building looked like any other high-end office complex off Glenwood Avenue. Clean steel, mirror windows, subtle signage. Nobody ever connected it to me. That was the point. Upstairs, Nikki was already posted at the reception desk, dressed like a board member and running point like a machine. "You're good to go," she said without looking up. "Cameras are recording. Security's briefed. Nobody leaves without your say-so." "How's the mood?" "Casual. They think it's some mid-quarter strategy session. Claire's even talking like she might get another raise." I smirked. "She's getting a surprise." "Damn right she is." Nikki handed me a leather folder with gold corner tabs. Color-coded, sorted by offense. "You're too good to me." "I know." I walked the private hallway to the back office, the one with the frosted glass that didn't even have my name on it. My space, my design. I unlocked the door, stepped inside, and took it all in. Quiet, bright, not a speck out of place. Just like I wanted the day to go. At 8:45, I checked the hallway monitor. Everyone was in place. Claire and her 2 assistants were in the far-right conference room, laptops open, files spread. They were presenting recent client data to what they thought was a new auditing director. Those files? Half of them were fabricated, flagged by our compliance team weeks ago. Tanya was across the hall, redlining a quarterly budget review she should have submitted back in May. She was bouncing numbers around like it was some group exercise. She didn't know Nikki already ran the real totals, and the gaps were glaring. Eric was talking shop with our dummy HR manager, probably repeating that same story about closing $1 million in new policies last quarter. I'd seen the real revenue. It wasn't even close. Everything was lined up. This wasn't chaos. This was architecture. At 8:59, I straightened my tie in the mirror, buttoned my jacket, and headed down the corridor. My shoes echoed with every step. When I pushed open the door to conference room B, heads turned. Claire glanced up, confused but still smiling. Tanya blinked like she was trying to place me. Eric raised his brows like he'd seen a ghost. They didn't recognize me. Not in this light. Not in this role. I stepped to the head of the table, flipped open the folder, and placed the first file in front of me. "Good morning," I said. My voice cut through the room. Claire tilted her head. I'm sorry, are you from?" "I'm Rob," I said. "The owner of this building, this firm, and the companies that sign your paychecks." Silence. Thick, stunned, absolute silence. I watched Claire's jaw lock. Tanya's eyes darted. Eric straightened up like posture might save him. I didn't sit. I didn't smile. I just opened the second folder. Claire blinked at me like I'd just spoken in another language. "I'm sorry," she said slowly. "You're what?" "I own the holding company behind every one of your employers. The buildings, the brands, the payroll, the chairs you're sitting in, mine." Tanya sat frozen with her pen midair. Eric rubbed his jaw, suddenly less smug than usual. Claire's assistants glanced at each other, confused. I stayed standing, calm, controlled. "Let's begin," I said, sliding the first folder across the table. "Claire." She flinched like the file had teeth. "Page 1, monthly lending totals submitted by your team. Page 2, internal audit from my compliance officer. Page 3, video of your loan officer, Dylan, instructing a client to falsify income numbers for approval." "That's not," she started, voice rising. "Page 4, your approval signature. Time-stamped, logged through your login credentials." I didn't know he was doing that. I never saw that application." She looked around, eyes wide now. "You can't pin this on me." I didn't even blink. "You approved 6 similar deals last quarter, each one with the same forged documentation. Your bonus structure gave you 2% of closed volume. You incentivized fraud. I didn't tell anyone to do it. You let it happen. On your watch. With your login. With your incentives." She went quiet, her cheeks flushed, lips pressed tight. I turned to Tanya. Folder 2. Misuse of marketing funds. $18,475 billed to a vendor named Genco Strategies. No proof of service. No actual campaigns. "That's a subcontractor," she muttered. "We outsource sometimes. Genco is your cousin's LLC. Registered 2 months before the invoices started. No staff. No website. No actual address." Tanya's mouth opened, then closed again. "You also redirected client billing through it. Padding invoices. Hiding tax liability. You funneled real money through a fake entity." Look, it wasn't my idea. I was told." "By who?" She froze. "I can't." "Exactly." Eric tried to cut in. "Hey, hold on. This all feels a little aggressive. If there's been mistakes." I turned the third folder toward him and laid it open. "You billed $4,300 in travel reimbursements for a retreat in Miami that never happened. We tracked your hotel records. You were in Asheville that weekend. Solo." Eric scoffed. "I had to cancel late. That's why I didn't show." "Your receipt is time-stamped after the event ended. The flight you claimed? Non-existent. TSA logs show you never left the state." His smirk faded. "Your mileage logs are falsified. So are 2 vendor contracts with overlapping invoice numbers. We ran forensic analysis. You copy-pasted the forms and changed the logos." "I didn't think it was a big deal," he said, quieter now. "It was just fraud," I finished. Intentional. Repeated. Documented. The room fell completely silent. Claire's hands were in her lap, fists tight. Tanya stared down at the table. Eric leaned back, staring at the ceiling like it might offer a lifeline. I didn't raise my voice once. No yelling. No theatrics. Just the truth. You weren't promoted because you earned it, I said. You weren't successful because you outworked anyone. You got what you got because I let you. Because I needed to see who you really were when you thought no one was watching. Claire opened her mouth, then closed it. Eric didn't say another word. Tanya looked like she might cry. I stepped back from the table, folding my hands behind my back. As of this moment, your positions are terminated. You are barred from any affiliate company under our umbrella. Your access credentials have been revoked. You'll receive legal notice by end of day. Cooperation is your only smart move now. Claire stood, suddenly desperate. Rob, listen. Kayla didn't know about any of this. She's not involved. You don't have to drag her down with. I cut her off cold. She dragged herself, I said. Same as the rest of you. I turned to the side door and gave Nikki the nod. 2 uniformed security guards stepped in. Quiet. Professional. Escort them out, I said. Claire gasped. Wait, are you serious? Like now? I don't drag my feet. Tanya stood slowly, clutching her bag like it held her dignity. Eric walked out without looking at me. Claire tried one last time. You don't have to do this. This is too much. It's overkill. I met her eyes. No, Claire. This is patience. They disappeared down the hallway one by one, heels clicking and footsteps fading. I didn't sit, didn't speak, just stood there and watched the door close. She hit the front office like a storm surge. Where the hell is he? Kayla's voice rang out through the glass doors. Get me Rob, now. I was sitting in my office, calm, sipping water, watching Nikki on the security feed nod once and buzz her in. Kayla came stomping down the hallway in heels too loud for the floor and anger too big for her mouth. The second she saw me, she pointed. You seriously think this is funny? Claire just called me in tears. What the hell are you doing? I stood and walked around the desk. Good afternoon. She ignored it. You humiliated my friends. Had them thrown out by guards like criminals. You're just mad because they were honest about your laziness. I held up one hand and set a folder on the table between us. Sit. She didn't, so I opened the folder myself. Let's talk assets, I said. The house, the one you decorate like it's a HGTV set, deeds in my name. Bought through a Trust 1 control. She scoffed. We bought that together. No, I bought it before we were married. You just picked the backsplash. Her jaw twitched. I flipped the page. The cars, yours included, leased under one of my corporations. All payments routed through a shell account tied to an asset fund. It's mine. Jesus, Rob, what is this? You're acting like I'm your enemy. I kept going. Credit cards? All under business accounts. Even the flights you've booked, paid through company perks. You haven't swiped a real personal expense in 2 years. Her voice cracked. You never said any of this. You never said you were hiding money. I wasn't hiding anything. You just weren't paying attention. She paced now, wild with panic. This is insane. You can't just cut me out of everything. I'm your wife. I pulled out one more sheet and slid it across the table. Signed 3 days before the wedding. You remember this? She leaned over, scanned it, her signature at the bottom, and went pale. The prenup? She said. That was just boilerplate. You said. I said it was standard. You said you trusted me. You didn't even read it. She stared at me like I was someone she didn't recognize. I've supported you, she hissed. I stayed while you were broke. I took care of things. You just, pretended to be poor? No, I said. I wanted to see who you really were without the money. And you showed me. She opened her mouth to argue, then snapped it shut. Her eyes welled, but I didn't flinch. Not this time. I was your wife, Rob. You were my liability. Her voice jumped an octave. You can't do this to me. You can't just pull the plug on our life. Our life was fake. A performance. You mocked me in front of strangers while living off my money. That ends today. Her lip curled. You planned this. Every detail. You wanted to ruin me. I looked her dead in the eyes. I wanted you to show me who you were. You didn't disappoint. She turned toward the door like she might bolt, then turned back, tears streaming now. Please, she whispered. We can fix this. I can fix this. Just give me one chance. You had every chance. You used them to humiliate me. She stepped forward. Rob, don't do this. Don't throw away our marriage. 2 guards stepped into the office. She spun. Are you kidding me? You're having me escorted out? I didn't answer. She looked back at me one last time, eyes wide with disbelief. You're really gonna do this? I said nothing. She screamed my name, but the doors were already closing behind her. The day after Kayla got walked out, I cleaned house. Claire's entire department was gutted within a week. Her assistant confessed everything in exchange for leniency. Doctored files, buried reports, side deals with shady lenders. Tanya's marketing agency got flagged for vendor fraud. Eric, let go for cause. The insurance firm filed for legal reimbursement before his exit paperwork even cleared. And then I started rebuilding. The first thing I did was bring back the people they'd pushed out, the quiet ones. The ones with work ethic and no tolerance for the spotlight. Tammy from accounting came back. Jamal from internal audit. 2 compliance officers who'd resigned under Claire's pressure. They returned without hesitation. Productivity jumped within days. Meetings were shorter, decisions got made faster, and emails stopped sounding like rehearsed TED Talks. Clients noticed. Referrals doubled. My inbox was full of messages I didn't even need to chase. By the end of the quarter, the books looked cleaner than they had in 2 years. Nikki sent me a breakdown: employee satisfaction up, turnover down, performance up. I didn't post a single word about it. No press releases. No announcements. I let people think what they wanted. I didn't care about being seen. But inside the walls, they knew. People greeted me different now. Not because I demanded it, but because the mask was off. I wasn't the quiet owner hiding behind LLCs and proxies anymore. I was the man who handled business direct, final, and clean. They respected that. One Thursday afternoon, Nikki slid a letter across my desk. Came through legal this morning, she said. From her attorney. I opened it. Kayla was requesting a meeting. Said she wanted to discuss resolution terms. She was staying with her cousin now. No car, no access to the joint accounts, which weren't joint anymore. I closed the letter and handed it back. Decline it. Nikki nodded once. No questions. I didn't feel proud. I didn't feel vindicated. I felt done. No more pretending. No more letting people ride off my silence. No more laughing along while they dragged my name like a doormat. I went home that night, poured myself one drink, and sat on the porch. Quiet. Still. Not alone, just free. 6 months later, I walked the halls of my own company and heard my name spoken with something new behind it. Respect. No more second-guessing. No more side eyes. Just nods, handshakes, and people standing up a little straighter when I passed. Nikki caught me outside the main bullpen. You've got a minute? Always, I said. She handed me a folder. Final Q2 numbers. Profits up 18%. Employee satisfaction at an all-time high. And you've got a mentorship list 4 pages deep. I flipped through the sheets. Real results. Real people. No fluff. Also, she added, some journalist from the Triangle Business Journal is begging for a sit-down. Wants to do a profile piece. Call it The Man Behind the Curtain. I snorted. Hard pass. Didn't think you'd bite. I closed the folder and gave it back. Let the numbers talk. She smiled. That they do. I walked past the glass offices, past a junior team laughing at something on a screen, past the new hire who gave me a nervous wave like I might be some celebrity. I gave him a nod and kept walking. No need for big speeches. No need for a title on the door. Everyone knew who ran the place now. My office hadn't changed much. Still clean, simple, quiet. The sun was setting behind the skyline, streaks of gold cutting across the glass. I loosened my tie, sat back in the chair, and took it in. This wasn't revenge. This was what it looked like when you waited. Built slow, moved smart. I didn't need the spotlight. I was the room.